So in this video, I will step you through the process of making a paper cutout using both templates from coloring pages as well as templates I make and templates I found, as well as some freeform shape cutting. This paper cutout is inspired by my looking forward to a beautiful springtime and seeing all my students again sometime in the near future. So I'm working on a poster board size piece of paper here, which is about 18 by 24, and I've gone ahead and cut out some of those coloring sheets that I know you have at home because you've taken at least 50 of them home colored from art class. And so I went ahead and cut those out, and I'm going to go then start cutting my different shapes. I remember I did a tracing of my bug here, and I did the flower template. I did a mock-up of the frog here based on that. And I'm going to go ahead and cut those out. To cut these out, I'm going to start by cutting it out, just setting it right on top of the paper. And you could tape that down. If you need to. And go ahead and cut her out of your paper. And remember, I hold the paper in my hand and I am pointing the scissors up, just the way I've showed you how to do it. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut I'm going to cut a smaller piece here so that I can hold it. Remember how I showed you don't have to follow the line in one direction. You can come at it from different directions like I just did. Make it easier on yourself and on the drawing to actually cut it from different directions. It's so much easier that way. And we're just doing the best we can do. We might not be Henry Matisse, but we're doing paper cutouts. I'm going to continue following her in this direction. You might need, if you're in kindergarten or first grade, you might need help from a bigger person to help you with this, but you can do that. Maybe you're going to learn how to cut these shapes out. I know a lot of first graders have cut many of this LOL doll out and colored them. If you can't do it, then I would say choose something you can do to make your shapes out of, because you don't have to do something this complicated to make your first paper cutout. See how I'm going in there from different angles? There's the newspaper side, and here is my LOL doll. Now I could go ahead and cut these eyes out on top of another piece of paper, or I could find something that's almost that size. Look at that. I have a template for that. So I'm going to go ahead and give her some purple eyes. Can't seem to find my pencil. There it is. And I know that you can all cut circles out because that's just a continuous line. And again, we are just doing the best we can cutting. And if we have too many rough corners, remember how I showed you just to go in and cut the points off until you have this the way that you want it to be. Now I'm going to cut one of these fellas. Well, actually, I'm going to cut this star shape out that I did. That is a little bit easier for some kids. So you've got these different patterns, different shapes that you've used on the beach, and now we're learning how to cut them to make a big paper cutout. I have this flower here that I'm going to cut out. It's kind of hard to hold that paper all together, so I went ahead and cut the part of the shape out. What about this bug? We save everything when we're making art because, you know, particularly when we're doing paper cuttings, we might really like one of these shapes that we've cut out to use for something else in the future. And this was my bug, but it also looks like it could even be a flower. I'm just going to make some leaves for that flower. And that bug is going to go get it. Well, actually, I could send that bug after it. Okay, so we've got started here with our paper cutouts, and this is something that we could come back to every day to add to it until we're done. So I'm working away on my LOL doll, and I had cut this star out, but I thought that would be really cool to make those her ears. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that part off, and I'm going to turn the star into her crazy bunny ears. I gave her a bathing suit and some big eyes and a little heart for a mouth and some feet. I might also give her some hair. I gave her some eyelashes. I'm going to go ahead and just cut some zigzags. We've done this a million times in school. You can cut it however you imagine it, but I'm doing it like this so she looks like she's got a little bit of hair, green hair and ears. I can even make some pink part inside of her ears for and there's my LOL doll for today. I've got a bug, a flower, and I'm going to be working on those manga chibis, my race car. We'll see what I come up with. Well, so I'm ready to start gluing down my paper from my paper cutting. And what I learned from the Mardi Gras Indians who make these beautiful beaded suits is to make things in sections. So I went ahead and did this, glued the clothes and various things on my LOL doll. And you can see what's so nice about using painted paper. You're able to use some of these mistakes or accidents that give it a really nice texture. Of course, you can always use construction paper, but you won't have this nice detail. So I've gone ahead and glued her together. I want to now glue this flower and bug onto my background. I'm going to be using wheat paste, which I just mixed. It's flour, water, and salt. And you can look at my previous video to see that how I did that. But you start with equal amounts of flour and water, and then you just add a little bit more water to make it the consistency of Elmer's glue. And so I'm going to go ahead and do this, make my flower. I liked it having a little bit of a fall over to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and pick that up. Then the bug is made from a template that I made using toilet paper tubes, if you recall. And I just traced it on top of my painted paper and then cut it out. The paper is actually the Beecher, our free newspaper. And if you can't find it at a local store, their office is right on Franklin near the South Shore train stop. And they have all kinds of back issues there, so you can not only get something fun to read, but you can also get some newsprint for your material. So this is my bug, and I made these really nice swirly pieces to make it look like he was flying to the flower. Now the wheat paste is going to leave some marks on your flower. You can see that white there. I'm going to go back in and just wipe that off. But that all adds, it's okay. It adds to the art piece because you can see the materials that were made to use it. So I've glued my background pieces to a piece of paper that is about the size of a poster board. You can use any kind of paper that you have available. You could even use newspaper. And then I went ahead and started adding my other pieces to the front of that. I glued my LOL together separately and let her dry. And next I'm going to go ahead and glue my Lamborghini, who's going to go visit with my LOL. So now that I have the base of my car done, my Lamborghini, I went ahead and just cut the rest of the pieces out of my template, and I'm going ahead and going to glue some of those down. I did leave the photocopy of the wheels on there. I thought that looked kind of cool, but Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I almost thought about maybe taking those off. We'll see if they stay on. Because I like the look of the painted paper, and that kind of doesn't work for me. Okay, so here we go. I added some trees back here. This is paper that was painted, and while I painted it, I added some brush strokes and some dots, and then I smeared it with a fork and got a really nice texture to it. And I can use a couple of those pieces for the remainder of my project here. I kind of am sad I don't have more of these. It would have been nice to have some of this paper to cut up to actually add as a sunset or something, but maybe I'll do that next time. I'm going to cut out a few more things for the foreground and glue them down, and I think this piece will be done. I was practicing my Matisse Flower shapes, and this is a piece of cut paper, a painted paper that has some squiggly lines on it, but you can see I'm doing a Matisse kind of flower, and what I'm doing is keeping my scissors in the same spot and using my hand, my left hand, to shape it. This one. And I'm just going to go ahead and start gluing the rest of my stuff down. The rest of my pieces. I made these crazy Matisse shapes. They could be trees or an oil spill. I like the different textures on there though. And I went ahead and added some to my windows. They're going to be reflecting what's around them. And I've got some textures on my bug up here. So I decided that I didn't really like the photocopy wheels on there, so I used this nice pink and red paper and cut some wheels out. I think those will look a little bit more interesting on my paper. It'll look like they're moving really fast. And I wanted something kind of light that would stand out. And there you have it. So I think I'm done. I'm not going to do anything else on here. I have a really lightly damp paper towel that I could wipe a few of the splotches off. You don't want to get it too wet because it will smear the paint. So I'm stopping on the paper cutout like it is right here. I've moved a few things around. I moved the car over, and I went back in and used crayon to go over my painted paper. There were some areas I wanted to bring up the color a little bit, and other areas where I wanted to actually cover some of the paper mache that dried and left a little light sheen on there, but you can see my crayon can cover that up pretty well. Let's see if I can bring up some of her. I also went in here and made some lines over next to the paper cutout, and some here. It was with the contrasting color of pink on top of the purple to make it look a little bit more interesting in the background, as well as to cover some of my paper mache white that was on the edges of the paper. So that's it. I had some wonderful, vivid dreams at night thinking about this painting and thinking about the beautiful color that's going to be in my garden as the spring unfolds. So have a great day.